Well, hello everyone, this is CJ with Cycletron. Well, you see I have my Ducati hat on today. That means I'm going to talk about the new V4 Diavel from Ducati. You know, they've been bringing in their V4 engine, that they call the Gran Turismo engine, into more and more models. So the latest now is the Diavel. That'll be showing up in showrooms here in the US in February 2023. Of course, they started out with the V4 Panigale, the V4 Street Fighter, of course the Super Leggera, which is its own special animal there. So yeah, they've been rolling this out to more and more bikes. I used to own a 2016 X Diavel S, and that bike was a hoot. Styling was a little more different with forward controls. The traditional Diavel, which came out in 2011, has always had mid controls, just like the new V4 Diavel. I think the bike's better suited to mid controls. On my old X Diavel S with those forward controls, I always felt like my feet were going to blow off in the quick breeze under hard acceleration. But again, that bike was a blast. And the big thing here, this engine is 1158cc, so it's down from the 1262cc displacement on the V2 Diavel. But horsepower and torque's about the same, although the V4 Diavel is 30 pounds lighter, which is pretty significant. So the V4 Diavel is reported to have 168 horsepower with 93 foot-pounds of torque. Has 4 valves per cylinder with a counter-rotating crankshaft. It also offers rear cylinder deactivation during idle or light loading. The other interesting thing is that they've pushed maintenance out, so for oil change, it's 9,000 miles or every 2 years, which I can never see going that long on a bike. And the valve adjustments at 36,000 miles, which is a big deal, especially on a V4. Has a 31.1 inch seat height. It's got some nice rider aids, 6-axis IMU, cornering ABS, 5-inch color TFT display with turn-by-turn navigation. Of course, you've got multiple ride modes. It's been standard on many Ducatis for several years now. The bike has a 5.3 gallon fuel tank. Has some cool features for the rear passenger. It has retractable foot pegs as well as a retractable grab rail behind the seat. I have to say I really like the looks of this bike. I think it's a beautiful bike. Some interesting features here. It has a 4x4 exhaust. I'm not sure I like the look of the muffler on this bike. It sort of looks like a rocket launcher, but I think it's growing on me. It's not a deal breaker on this bike in my opinion, just a little different. I really like the LED tail lights. Kind of looks like a hive. It looks pretty cool. Now the new V4 Diavel MSRP is $26,700, which is rather pricey. It's about $3,000 more, $4,000 more than a traditional Diavel. A couple grand more than an X Diavel S. So on paper, this bike's gained about 11 horsepower over the V2 Diavel, although I think torque's pretty much the same, around 93 foot-pounds. So the V4 tends to produce power with higher and higher RPM versus the V2, a little bit flatter curve, but the V2 Diavel had way more torque in the low RPM range. So in essence, I think what's appealing about this bike is certainly the styling. The fact that it's a V4, it's a pretty high-tech, interesting engine. The bike weighs considerably less than the V2 version, so this bike comes in around 512 pounds wet versus 542 for the V2 version. Of course, they always like to advertise dry weight, so the dry weight on the V4 Diavel is 465 pounds. I guess it's around 495 for the V2 Diavel. I will have to say, I think there are better V4 bargains from the Ducati line. I think the V4 Street Fighter, the base as it were Street Fighter V4 version at $22,000 has all the performance, of course different styling, different ergos, but if you want V4 performance in a Ducati, I think the Street Fighter may be the way to go. But I would never argue against someone getting a V4 Diavel or even a V2 Diavel. I think they're fantastic bikes, and in retrospect, I think it's a better bike than the X Diavel S for the reasons I stated earlier. So it'll be interesting to see if Ducati continues to push this V4 engine version into the other bikes. I guess there's not too many left. I guess they've got the Super Sport I don't see them putting a V4 in that, but who knows? I don't know if a V4 scrambler is in the offing. That would be kind of interesting. So what do you all think about this? Do you think Ducati's really ahead of the curve on this, or do you think it's change for the sake of change? So let me know what you think about this bike in the comments section, and please stay tuned for future videos. Thanks very much.